Hello, welcome back to BlenderSushi Live Noding. In this episode, I'm gonna show you something cool and very easy that you can do using Blender, Grease Pencil, and Sverchok add-on. So I can call this like the Grease Pencil wiggle text. It's kind of like a common effect that you might be able to create using like plugins in After Effects or something, but in this case, you can kind of just do it using Blender, and you know that this effect is actually kind of real time, and you can kind of add your own grease pencil at any time, and this thing will actually update. So yeah, this is actually quite simple to do, and it's already been there. This functionality is already been there in Sverchok for a while, but it's just a matter of putting the right nodes into it. So currently, I think probably the limitations is that the data is keep changing. As you can see, whenever I change the frame of the grease pencil, it keep changing. Um, in one way, it's kind of limitations, but in another way, this is actually kind of nice because you're still having like a live grease pencil. So like I said, often in my live noding, if you are dealing with grease pencil and if you want to bring it into Sverchok, you either keep it live or you can turn it into curve and bake it as a curve first, and once it's become a curve, then Sverchok can take over and turn it into whatever you like, because I think grease pencil in one way is like a raw data. It's a lot of points whenever you make a strokes, and it's like when you're drawing something on top of it, and yeah, it's a you can do a lot more, you know, with the grease pencil, not just like strokes like that. You can do a lot more, and you see in this case, just by using simple few nodes in Sverchok, you can generate something like this. Very cool, and you can render it out as well. Okay, so let's get started and see how we can generate that. I start with an empty scene, and let's just draw like a Blender 3D, just like three strokes of grease pencil, and I'll keep the opacity down, and then I'll switch to Sverchok. Okay, from the top, and let's save this as grease pencil wiggle, actually GP wiggle 001. Create a new node tree, and then right away we want to use the script node. So Sverchok comes with a bunch of script node examples, and there's one of them is actually for grease pencil. There's a typo there, but this is for grease pencil. These things actually work quite well. I think Nikita made this. You just need to load it, and it's become like a single node. And this guy have this parameter that does nothing, but that's just for Sverchok nodes. I think the actual script looks like this. You can read it and you can modify it. You can see that it's basically accessing the data of grease pencil and kind of outputting the points. I think you might already see something like this in my previous live noding. So this guy plug into that guy, and then what do you want to do with it? You can do anything. Before I go too far, actually you can just say you can use a sphere, for example, and just plug this guy in there and plug this guy in here, and you have kind of like a scatter of this sphere object, and you can actually call it done, but we don't want to actually make something like this. We want to create like a something that looks like grease pencil. So in order to do that, you can take advantage of the new Polyline Viewer. Now the Polyline Viewer is really basically just turning points into curve, and in this case it's actually perfect for us. If I'm not wrong, we can just plug that in and it should actually work just as it is. Actually just 2 nodes that you need, and it's done. And let's save this first. Let's go to the top view again. So if you actually switch to another frame and then maybe make like another drawing, and this thing will update on the fly. So that's kind of nice. Make a happy face, and yeah, you can keep doing that. This thing will actually render as a nice curve. But yeah, the Polyline Viewer, I think, has this guy is doing a resampling or not, but sometimes you might notice that grease pencil curve is actually kind of dense and they're not resampled nicely. So I tend to like to do the resample thing. Vector interpolation, this guy, and range float from between 0 and 1, and count is actually the number of sampling. So this guy can kind of make the lines a little bit nicely arranged, or yeah. And then if you actually split to B-spline and increase the number of sampling, you can get a nicer result, even nicer result. But you don't want too much like resolutions, or you don't want it to be too dense. I think I can turn off the grease pencil and look at it from the top. You can, if you want, you can give it a single material for all of them. This is Blender render. I think Sverchok material works better with cycles. And switch to material mode. Plug this guy in. Cool. Seems to work. Okay, so that seems to be working pretty well, and it's actually simpler than you thought, right? This is like very easy to do. This sampling, let's reduce it, and actually don't use the B-spline. Just keep it low resolution for now, so it's faster to calculate. And let's draw something else, like a spiral. Actually, it's a good idea to keep this opacity and then update it. Whenever I change the frame, it will update. I can also draw my little snail logo. Oops, I think I did it wrong. Okay, so yeah, this is the resampling. If the resampling is too small, it doesn't generate the image. But yeah, you can do it like that. Yeah, so that's actually pretty much it. If you want it to be a little bit, you can play around with the bevel objects, and you can increase the radius. You can actually randomize the radius. Oh yeah, actually I forgot to do something. It's the randomize input vertices. This guy is the one that's doing the wiggle. Okay, now we have a living image. It's always like I don't know, this is it's kind of like a nice technique. Okay, Blender just decided to crash. Maybe it's a bug on my computer, I don't know why, but it's crashing a lot these days. Maybe time to change my computer. but I'll restart real quick. I believe I already saved it. Cool. Back to wiggle. And then change this to a different color. Let's use the frame info. Plug this guy into this guy. You can wiggle it more or less, not too big, just little wiggle. And you can see it's wiggling, and yeah, it's look really nice actually. So let me think what else we can do here. I think a random number generator. And if we use how many photos is being generated? Get list length. Plug this guy in there and plug this into the size. And generate random value for the radius. Now we kind of, I believe we create an effect of kind of like the ink. Oops, actually list length. Did I do it wrongly? I think because depending on the strokes, I think this doesn't seem to work correctly. Let me check. Okay, that thing is actually optional. But anyhow, we got it. And we can hide the grease pencil. Turn it into matcap. And just do the wiggle. See that the effects actually quite fast and real time. And you can render this out right away, and if you want you can still go back to your grease pencil and make some changes, and it will update accordingly. Let me try doing that. Where is it? Opacity and timeline. Okay, that's the snail. I believe D and right click is to erase, so I can actually erase this and then update it, and let's do it. Okay, my mistake there. Oh well, I can draw another one. Yeah, doing it wrong again, but it's okay. That's yeah, once you have this set up, you can actually save the node tree here. This is a grease pencil wiggle, and you can save the node tree like this, like just export it out as JSON, and then whenever you need it, you can just import it into a new file. Just in case you didn't know that, this is an empty Sverchok tree, and then you just import it from the file, this guy, and then you have this thing already happening. Now you just need to draw something and then update. Grease pencil updating. This thing still need material. Give it a material. Give it a color. And you're done. You can render it out. Of course, you need some kind of lighting. There you go. grease pencil on the fly using Blender, Sverchok, and grease pencil function. Hopefully you enjoy this. If you have any question, feedback, just let me know down below, and I'll see you in the next video.